Alrighty, welcome y'all. Be aware this is recorded just so people who weren't able to make it are able to hear it. Uh, After I'm done addressing the stuff I have, feel free to raise any questions so management might hear it. But more importantly, we kind of come together and start bringing issues to the plate all in one place. Unfortunately, today we were unable to do the labor and management meeting. They had to reschedule for Thursday. So quite a bit of my items, I expected to be able to follow up with them because I did have quite a few of you guys hit me up with questions post previous town hall. And so today's going to have a shorter list with quite a few of the hotter tickets going to be addressed on this Thursday, which the labor management meeting will be. Some of the issues I do want to talk about, again, the whole point of this town hall is to debrief what's going on in this last month, what's coming up in the following months, and also just for you guys to voice your thoughts, your opinions, vent. I mean, some of the bigger item tickets, obviously posting plans, the heat advisory thing, the company, I did everything I could. I got on a Zoom meeting. I addressed directors, comms, and their heating advisory plan is, in my opinion, not very good for Glendale in general. Scottsdale, it sounds like it had worked in the past, but they also have more stations along the ways and more trucks. Goodyear obviously is a huge issue with the current climate. So between Glendale and Goodyear, I mean, those are the two that I'm more aware of at the time being. So these are things that we're going to be addressing again on Thursday. You guys are going to be an important piece to raise your concerns about how dysfunctional the posting plan is in real time. Another thing I want to talk about, the contract for Glendale. It is kind of grapevine, I don't want to call it gossip, but people chatting about how we have gotten the Glendale contract, but currently that is actually being negotiated in the sense of which contract they're actually going to choose for Maricopa. So they've given the thumbs up that they want to choose Maricopa. Maricopa put in 2 different contracts. So the stages would be Glendale choosing between these 2 contracts, and then whatever contract gets chosen then has to go to DHS. Once it gets to DHS, that has to get, approved on their end, and then all the rest of it falls in place. So that's the current condition with that. One of the bigger things that has happened recently, it's kind of front page news. I'm not going to go into any of the gossip. I would say any kind of gossip of any kind of employees with whatever scandals or things that are happening, and I'm guilty of it too. I must admit, I'm being mindful of that as I'm in a leader position. To have whatever conversations that you're going to be having outside of places where everyone's congregating, right? Like, we shouldn't be talking about employee gossip like in the EMS rooms, because we never know who's listening. So really be aware of that. I do want to address a recent incident that happened. An employee in Glendale had an issue with a fire department's choice on where a patient went. At face value, it sounds like the employee did the right thing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of politics that were involved. The employee went to the EMS coordinator and reported this incident. The employee was told to do so because there was conflict at the actual hospital. But if you guys are having any issues with the fire department or the hospital, please, 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 please contact your director and CC the union in it, just to keep a barrier around you. Unfortunately, that person got kicked out of Glendale because it is politics. So I just want to say that so you guys are aware and we can try to make sure this doesn't happen again. So again, if you're having issues with the hospital or the fire department, contact the director, send an email with me and Casey CC'd in it. Heat barrier for old ambulances. This actually got brought up. I think it's a great idea. And I forwarded it. It's going to be on the conversation on Thursday. Some of the older ambos, if you're in a backup, it's not a dedicated in Glendale, the front compartment gets really hot, like your feet are boiling hot. So there was a suggestion on how to implement a fix on that, which I think it seems quite affordable and quite a good way to address it. So looks like that's something that is going to happen, but we're running by management to get approved. The shirt sizes. Okay, so I'm trying to jump in front of the 8 ball here. The shirts, from what I was told by Michelle, aren't exactly a traditional fit. So they're not exactly what your normal size may or may not be. Now, supervisors, from what I'm hearing yesterday on shift, were calling employees asking what size shirt they are. It was from my understanding from Michelle that there are samples of these shirts in each system, and the director should have them or a supervisor should have them at some station for you guys to try them on. I highly recommend you try them on. If a supervisor has called you and asked your shirt size and you've already told them, call them back and say, erase my size. I want to come in to try this shirt size on, because I can already see how this pans out. We've waited this long for shirts to come in. All of a sudden, we finally get this approved. We go through this whole process. You tell people your normal shirt size, and now you get your shirts. Still, we don't know when that's going to happen, but it should be in the near future. You get your shirts. It's got your name embroidered on them, and what do you know? It doesn't fit. So let's avoid that type of process. And again, if you have already given them a shirt size, please, after this call them back and let them know that you want to come in to try on a shirt to make sure that fits. Honestly, I wanted to be true to my word. I'm doing this once a month. Those are really right now the only things I can specifically talk to that were follow-ups from the previous town hall. There's quite a few of these questions that I want to know the answer to as well, like VSTs being held accountable for stocking and cleaning trucks, pregnancy issues. That's going to be a hot commodity. Daniel Rooney is going to be quarterbacking that with my unwavering support. Let's see what else. Truck cleanliness policies in general. I'm trying to get a policy handbook with all of the updated policies, so if people can have them accessible without asking all the time, and it's at your fingertips. The posting plan, that's one of my top priorities for you guys. And wash cards, gas cards. It's pretty much it. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, concerns, anything they want to bring up, any kind of problems they've run into in the field that they want to address that try to avoid for future employees?
Hey, Noel, the shirts are running small.
Shirts are running small. Okay, I was thinking it was the opposite side. So, Day, did you try a shirt on, and is it one size above what you would normally wear?
Yeah, we tried them on yesterday. I wear a 1X and I need a 2X unless you all want to stare at my never mind.
We'll leave that to Shakira. Cool. Thanks for that input. But still, as you heard, Donald Day tried on a shirt, and his normal size is not the normal size for this shirt. So if someone calls you to get the shirt size, please make sure that you're asking to try them on. Well, you got you on there, Day. You got any other questions, concerns, thoughts? We all know you're full of them.
Nah, it's been fairly quiet lately, which is scaring the crap out of me. I'm waiting for the big one to drop.
I agree.
The only
Anybody
thing,
else?
there's
Bueller?
a lot of management changes coming, so we need to be ready for that.
Yeah, and also with a lot of management changes, there's a lot of new training that these new managers are going through. So we're all going to be on our toes to prepare as to what's coming down the pipeline. Again, that's the point of this, is so everybody can talk, communicate, find out what's being told to them in the field. I'm honestly open for supervisors to come on this chat if they want to say. To me, this is an open book. This is a place where everybody can come together. There's no barriers. It's not dispatch, crews, supervisors. We are Maricopa. These are problems that we're facing. These are real-time issues. These are what's being fixed. That's what we're working on. Kyle Temple, policies for IF for hospital clear times, not 911, which is probably 911 as well. Yeah, so that is on the item agenda list. Again, that's another thing I wanted to talk about today, but I was unable to. I'm going to work with Casey, and we're going to work with management about making a specific one to 911. I have ideas. I've spoken to other people about ideas on processes on how that would work to improve our system. But yeah, as you can see, I don't know if anyone in the field has already gotten a little heat coming on them, but they are definitely turning up the heat in regards to clearing, which this is the most I've seen for that for my entirety of being here. So yes, Kyle, that is in the literature. It's saying specifically IF, because you're correct, but it contradicts itself in the actual policy, because the headline of the policy is for all crews, but then the specific hospital clear time of the 30 minutes contact, it specifically says IFT. So one, they're either going to need to add 911 into that for it to be correct as how you read it. But more importantly, I personally do believe 911 and IF are different. So there should be maybe a little bit of a different policy on how that works. I mean, as we all know, if you've been on a vent call, transporting in a hospital in certain areas of a hospital, it could be 30 plus minutes by the time you get to that patient's bed and come back to your rig. Depending on what kind of call you're running in 911, 30 minutes is, obviously not enough time. But at the same time, you shouldn't be taking more than 45 minutes. That's me giving, cushion on BLS calls. It's just, unless you're holding a wall, and some very specific reasons, and it's not a code, it doesn't take critical restock and drug restock or whatever else. People have been milking the system for too long, so this is something that's coming down the pipeline, and it's going to be a heavy hand, and some people are going to be uncomfortable about it. But again, this is to improve the system, and we're here to support you guys, not just try to get people in trouble. Just in general, policies are very poorly written and widely open for interpretation. Yeah. Yep. You guys are repeating everything I am all about on here for sure. What time is the meeting on Thursday? That meeting, Tara, is that's a executive board meeting. That's labor management. So it's union and Maricopa management. And that happens once a month, just like a union meeting happens once a month. And then my whole point of doing this once a month at the very end of the month, the last Tuesday of the month as of now, is to bridge that communication to you guys, is to be able to have a place where everybody can come. I can communicate. Obviously, I'm not able to always talk about everything that's happening. Some of this stuff is privileged knowledge. However, I do want to be upfront and tell you guys about that information. In regards to finding out details of the meeting, I'm using, as of right now, I'm using these messenger platforms to communicate with you guys. So I will update in the Goodyear, Glendale, interfacility, and that Mac EMS Facebook what's pertinent information for whatever group I'm posting it in. So You should hear follow up on the details of that meeting this weekend, depending on what information I get, obviously. Does anybody else have any other questions? Any problems you're running into in the field with management, with fire, with if you're an inter-facility? Any problems in generals or any kudos you got? You missed the beginning. One sec, guys. I have a chat. One sec. All right. I missed what was said about Glendale. I missed the beginning about posting plans. So yeah, so the beginning of the meeting, I informed you guys that I had quite a few topics that I wanted to chat about that I was unable to get information on because today was supposed to be the labor management meeting. That's the union and Maricopa. And a lot of the follow-up questions that I had from the previous town hall was going to be addressed directly into that. There are a few of those things that I've been back and forth, but sitting in a meeting with everybody is different than going back and forth with email. But yeah, the posting plan, again, it's out of my control right now, but it is on the top of my priority list. I'm a firm believer that if we can get the posting plan and our station conditions and our trucks in better conditions and working efficiently, like it's going to be a much better place to work. Obviously we all know Goodyear is one of the hardest places to work right now in Maricopa because of, unfortunately, the politics of it. But that doesn't mean that some of these things shouldn't be adjusted to make the employees' lives easier while they're dealing with the stress. So in regards to Glendale, other than that, I spoke a little bit about the contract, the current condition of where it's at. Maricopa submitted 2 contracts to get the contract, and Glendale needs to choose between these 2 that they sent in. They gave the thumbs up and said, we want Maricopa. Now they're picking between these 2 contracts. Once the contract's chosen, it will be sent to DHS. And then DHS then goes through that with a fine-tooth comb. And from there, it's all a mystery. But the ball is rolling on it, but obviously it's not 100% confirmed. Any new info on Goodyear Station 184 beds and the needs to be there for extended periods of time? So again, that again is another thing. 1815 is a huge item piece to talk about with posting plans and them being out there to cover the station, and being a 24-hour truck with no room accommodations and basically just covering for Goodyear. So these are definitely things that I am addressing in this labor management meeting. Kyle Temple, I have to say thanks to Adam for finding coverage for shifts and hopping on trucks when necessary. It's refreshing. I'm a supervisor is afraid to hop on it. Yeah, and I've got to give him kudos too. I've messaged him directly and said he's doing a great job, and it's not unseen. So when you guys see your supervisors doing things that are helping you, make sure you go out of your way and give them kudos, because they're wearing a lot of hats too as well. Shift bids coming up. Yeah, so it was supposed to be July 1st. There's a lot of information I can't talk about in the background. However, from what it sounds like, the shift bid should be August 1st, but that's not something that I can solidify and say 100% is going to happen. This labor management meeting, there should be a definitive answer in that, but that's what it's looking like. 1815 didn't eat dinner until midnight last night because of the posting plan. Yep. 184 should definitely have beds for 1815 if they're going to be there on a regular basis, but that makes too much sense. This whole common sense isn't common, and speaking information that people can understand. Well, hopefully we're on our way to change this so it can be more common. But yeah, I mean, at a very bare minimum, in my opinion, they should have what the students have at our station, which is one of those camper beds that roll out. And you shouldn't have to sleep in a recliner. Any info on 183 back half getting a full-time EMT for nights? I do not have information on that, but I do know that there's been a lot of new hires coming in. So I'm assuming that's going to get tent place quite soon. I can follow up and ask about that though. Anybody else? Has there been any drug spot checks recently? What do you mean by that, Bree? Are you talking about
the Zofran and Benadryl thing? Has any supervisor come over to check to see if we have drugs not in the drug box recently? Because I haven't had it. So I was just wondering if they're doing that still.
I have not gotten any word of anyone having that happen to them additionally to the previous interactions they had. I will say it seems like the heat on that has definitely been removed a lot more than it was with all of this conversation. I think in the beginning, why they were doing that was a lot of the heat that was coming down from them above them. And they were kind of forced to try to do some of those things based off of the direction they were given. But if you guys are getting surprise checks like that, these are the kind of things that I do want to know so that we can have that information. Again, I've looked in a lot of the trucks. It looks like everyone's done what I've asked them to do, just to remove that accountability of having drugs out on, in your cubbies. If your narc boxes are still like ridiculous, like the ones I posted in the messenger, please email me and let me know. Per Adam Lazarde, they should have received foam inserts. I personally brought my own to make it happen because I'm not going to take the accountability of narcs rolling around in that container like that and break.
Is there any news on whether or not we're removing Benadryl and Zofran from the narcs, or is that still up in the air?
No, it's not necessarily up in the air. The past conversation was they're going to do that, but when that's going to happen is not in my peripheral. From what I was told, they're going to have to invest into buying new Pelican cases or whatever it is for those. But there was no definitive answer on how that would be addressed, but it seemed like DuPont was a huge advocate of that and that they were working on making that happen. We've had Isaac going around trucks to make sure they're locked. Most of the truck boxes only lock with the key, which is very frustrating. I unlock the box on every single call. Okay, so Kyle, you only have one key, or you have more than one key and you don't have a fob? And that goes to everybody on this call. The fob only locks the front, not the box in the back. Have you guys brought that to Fleet's attention? Because from my understanding, that's a fuse issue. So we had that issue on 153, and I called Leo, brought it in, and he replaced the fuse and it fixed it.
Yeah, I think it's only just like a small like plastic piece that they have to replace, because 151's the same way. The back door doesn't lock. You have to manually lock it, and it won't unlock with the key fob. So you have to manually unlock that on calls.
Yeah, so I mean, this kind of stuff's crazy. Like, how are we supposed to have, like, in a 911 system, lock each door manually that way? Like, that, not setting us up for success. So, I mean, it sounds like we've been in 6 different trucks in the past month. None of them locked and unlocked with the key fob. Also, any update on 1850 actually getting a dedicated, which is bounced between backups? I'm going to tell you right now that 1815 is a mystery right now in regards to what they're going to do with that truck in general. Is that going to become a Glendale dedicated when they secure the Glendale contract? I'm not sure. Is it going to become static 12s? Quite possibly. And as that would take away a lot of the issues that the company, I think, is dealing with the truck. And I know that sucks for people that hard bid on it. I can't give you a definitive answer on that, but I can tell you I am working with Casey, and 1815 is a top priority for us. As you know, I've said this a few times, and it's not a joke. It is the slave truck of Maricopa. You know, you guys drive an insane amount of distances covering 2 different EMS systems, and they give you IF traffic. So I feel you guys, and I'm here to support you. I'm just very limited in the information that I'm getting. But again, yeah, we just bounce between backups. I can tell you that the whole fleet situation, like I'm trying to find ways to better communicate and get systems in place. Same with the Fleetio thing. A majority of people I talk to are not using Fleetio. The company's saying that they're depending on Fleetio. I've talked to the mechanics, and Fleetio doesn't exactly work in a way where it brings the trucks in for the specific issues. It's a timeline as to what's going on with the trucks and the issues that they're having. But there needs to be better communication and checkoff lists and things to make sure, fail safes, to make sure that we're not running into these problems all the time. Very important truck in the West. Also, 1850 crew members have been told more about IF traffic calls coming. Others have not. Is there an official word on that? From what I was told in an email, that was supposed to launch on the 24th, and I believe it was the 24th. And people that are on that truck should have been informed that that truck can take interfacility traffic, I believe, up until 9 p.m. That, from my understanding, that was an official word when it was sent out, but also from my understanding, most people have not heard that are on that truck. I've been told management working on transitioning all trucks to iPhones for unit phones so we can use Fleetio on the phones. So again, this is all in the air as to communication on their end. So I will specifically follow up on that exact ticket item on whether 1815 is now taking interfacility traffic until 9 o'clock. Kyle, I've been told management working on. Yeah, I hear you, especially with the issue you showed me on 1815. You got a flip phone that doesn't, it sends you all the text messages like hours later. So, so these kind of issues need to get resolved. And I know that a lot of people have dealt with dysfunction for so long that it's just normal. But my goal is to unnormalize that. Like these things, it's such unnecessary stress. We already deal with enough in the field. Like we shouldn't be dealing with these issues, and they're not even complicated fixes.
I was gonna say the other day, Isaac called me and he's like, "Can you yell at 1815?" And I'm like, "Why?" And it's because the phone wasn't working. He tried calling him and didn't connect, and he wanted me to yell at them. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do that."
Yeah.
So you can basically shove it because they didn't receive any text or call from dispatch. And apparently it didn't even come through on the flip phone.
Yeah, one sec, guys. I have to answer this real quick. One sec. All right, sorry about that, guys. Party over here. Yeah, what are they gonna do? Put paper cups and strings next so they can communicate? No, like we're in 2023, and these issues, and especially them trying to hold people accountable for how they respond in your shoe times and responding to your posting plans, and yet have no accountability on these things on their end. So I 100% support you guys in this, And I don't agree with a lot of the things and the pressure that's being put on you guys. So if your phone's not working like 1815 and you're getting pressure from management, please contact me directly and I'll address it. Let's see. Yeah, our phone doesn't get calls at all. They've been having me use my personal basically the past few weeks. Yeah, no, Kyle, that's gonna stop. 3, they do that in Glendale too, and our numbers all over the truck. I mean, if it comes, your numbers all over the truck, like your personal number.
No, we're talking about the truck numbers.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, damn, they're spreading your personal number like that.
Oh, heck no. No one, barely anyone has my personal number in fire. So.
All right, cool.
We were talking about 183 only having the 1 and the 8, not the 3. And fire asked us on every call what unit we are, even though it says it on our truck and we've told them a million times, but it would be nice to have the 3 back on our truck so it doesn't look like we're Maricopa 18.
So fill me in on this. Someone removed the 3?
Yes. So our truck is actually 182's old truck. And so they pulled the 2 off, but didn't replace it with a 3. So now we're just riding around with an 18 on our truck.
Sounds like the Maricopa way. Just
Right?
take the 2 off.
Okay, yeah, this is the first time I heard of that, so I will address that.
I mean, if it comes down to it, I have a vinyl cutting machine and I will cut a 3 and put it on there.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's the company's responsibility. So let me bring it up to them. I mean, worst case scenario, I'll get black tape that we use to cross out when there's an on-duty, death. So it's pretty silly, simple fix. But yeah, I hear you. Let me write that one down. Does anybody else have anything else?
Oh, I'm not sure if this was answered, but the bids, are they still on hold?
Yeah, it was addressed. So yeah, originally the bid was supposed to be July 1st. There's stuff I can't talk about at this moment as to why it got pushed back, but it appears it's supposed to be August 1st. Don't quote me on that, but that looks like the trajectory. That is something that should be confirmed in this labor management meeting. Anybody else out there? All right, Bueller.
Wait, is there any way to fix the radio issues that we're having in Goodyear?
What are the radio issues you're having in Goodyear?
So our MCT does not work in some areas of Goodyear. Also, our Maricopa radio does not work. So we have no way of getting in communication with dispatch unless we call them on the phone.
Is this a new issue? Is this happened in the past? Is it just an area or what's?
No, I don't think it's just an area. I think it's just an issue between Maricopa Dispatch and our truck radios not working.
Is it just 183 or is
No, it's
all the Goodyear units?
181 and 183 as far as I know.
And it doesn't matter what area you're in. It's all the time.
It goes through, we go through like dead zones. So like Abrazo West, you can't use your radio going into Abrazo West. You have to wait until you get all the way out to the light before it works.
So I do know sometimes what can happen is those antennas can get damaged and that can cause issues, but it shouldn't be specific areas. And then, because to me, that sounds like a reception issue. All right, MCT and dispatch radio issues.
Mm-hmm.
Is anything going right in Goodyear?
No.
Sorry.
I feel like we're the stepchildren of Maricopa.
So you got multiple people saying been happening forever. Radio cell services in Goodyear, shiitake mushrooms. Consider it a blessing if you hear me yapping on the radio. It is a blessing when you hear you yapping on the radio, Kenny. We want to hear you rapping on it too. So it sounds like that's an actual reception issue in Goodyear. So that may or may not be fixable. However, has anyone ever tried to contact Phoenix Alarm about it? Because we've got quite a few issues fixed by contacting them, and their IT people come out to the truck.
Yeah, for our MCTs, like when we have like our MCT doesn't work, we just contact Phoenix Alarm. I know that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever done that before, Tara?
No, we haven't contacted Phoenix Alarm because our radio still works with them. And so we can still get dispatched to calls, and we just, whenever it does come up on the MCT, then we just go by the address that's on there. But next time it happens, I will contact Phoenix Alarm. Yeah,
you should have that sticker on there, and then just call them. And yeah, your MCT shouldn't be acting up like that, because that comes off of, that's a FirstNet off a separate satellite. So next time that happens with the MCT, just call that number. It's a little sticker, and it tells you the number to call for Phoenix Alarms IT, and then they'll drive out to you and evaluate your situation. 181 had a radio replaced. That did happen with engine 188 Saturday. What's that? The MCT issues?
Yeah, we're all the time having MCT issues between Fire and Maricopa out there.
Okay, so it's a well-known issue. This isn't a new thing. So I can guarantee you, if Goodyear Fire's having that problem, they've already contacted Phoenix Alarm to try to fix it. But it is something for you to know. If you ever have any weird glitchy stuff going on with your MCT, you should just contact Phoenix Alarm IT on that number. And I've always had great interactions with them, and they fixed it.
Another question, does anybody have, or where can I find the information for response times in Goodyear? Like how long we have to respond to a code 2, how long we have to respond to a code 3?
That's across the board. So it's 10 minutes code 3 and 20 minutes code 2.
Okay. I've never been aware of that, but there's been times that we've been 25 minutes plus from a call for a code 2, and they won't update us or upgrade us to a code 3 to get there.
Yeah, for West, East is 9 minutes code 3 and 15 code 2. I didn't know that. I thought that was across the board.
I know that whenever we have prolonged response times, whether code 3 or code 2, we just go over the KDEC and the Maricopa radio, tell them we're going to be delayed by distance so they can mark it in their chart. And I mean, our supervisors will go back through DQA and look at our response time to see if we meet compliance and go from there. But if we can't help distances, they're going to have to realize that.
Yeah, and you can always, the best way to do it as well is to hop on the KDEC. You know, you're 25 minutes plus out. Maricopa 183 to alarm. Hey, be advised, we have a delay in distance. Would the engine like us to upgrade code 3 for distance? And then you just put the ball in their court, whether they depend on whether that's something critical enough for you to get there and go code 3 or not. That's up to them.
Okay.
And then we go code 3. I agree with that. Honestly, missing response times we put, because let's be honest, you're gonna miss the response time either way. Because if you're 25 minutes out and you're not gonna make that in 20 minutes, and you get upgraded code 3 just for distance, you're not making it there in 10 minutes more than likely. I mean, that chances is that it's not common.
Another thing, is there anything in the works as far as if we can take calls from Medic 182, the Goodyear unit, or if we have to let them run their own calls? I know that was an issue a couple months ago when they first came out with their unit.
Yeah, so anything Goodyear related in regards to posting 182 and all of that, that is a big topic that we're going to be discussing in the labor management meeting. So that's not anything I have specifics on right now, but it is something that I am addressing because I personally believe 182 should be somehow involved with our posting plan if they're available. That should incorporate into our posting plan when they're available. And also the call thing. I've discussed with a few people that had different interactions with that, being told not to hop calls or being told to hop calls. So I will follow up on that one.
So the last thing I heard from Lindsay was not to jump calls for them. But I've been asking her for some sort of, I don't know, just for them to get on the same page for once and let both of us know what's going on.
Right. And
because Medic 182's also tried to get us to take their calls before by telling them that we're closer as well.
Yeah. So
well, and the same thing has happened to 183 too, with them being like having to come into the city. They're like, well, 183 is available. Can 183 not take that call?
Yeah.
Whenever we're posted at our station, and technically they're closer because it's like a call down on Cotton and Yuma, which is closer to their station because it's a 16-minute drive from our station to Cotton and Yuma.
Yeah, so I agree, and there should be a very clear, cut and dry answer to this. Like, it shouldn't be left at discretion, or one person's told one thing and another's told another, or no one's told anything at all.
Yeah, so that's basically what it's been so far. Is Lindsay's been telling us not to take anything for them, and Glendale Medic 182 has been told specifically to have us jump the calls.
Yeah.
So they're just not on the same page whatsoever. And Lindsay needs to go sit down with their EMS chief and actually figure out what the policy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that would require her to actually work. So
yikes. Crickets. No, I do know I do know she's got quite a load, especially with Mike had left and now we have Joe in the spot. So there is a lot of stuff going on in the background, and my goal on what I'm doing is to communicate and not leave you guys in the shadows on things that usually aren't talked about, because one, there may not be a specific answer, but it needs to be talked about. Like, you can't just ignore these things. Like, we need to discuss on how to make this efficiently work, or how do we improve things to be better, or how do we just have a conversation to communicate so we can get on the same page. So
another thing, is there any word on the Goodyear contract, if we're getting it back, or if what are we doing with the EMS units that are in Goodyear whenever they don't want us there anymore?
So again, I don't want to speak too much on Goodyear because I don't have enough information to give you guys specifics, but from my understanding, Goodyear has 3 years to get the remainder of their rescues, and within that 3 years, Maricopa is keeping the units that we have, and each time they bring up a rescue, we will be downing a rescue, which means if you're dedicated onto that unit, you will be reassigned to whatever open shift that you're able to choose from that's available.
So we're not just going to be placed on a truck somewhere. We're going to have a say in where we go.
I again, not something I have enough information to say exactly what that means. You're not going to be able to say, I want to go to this place. However, from my understanding, you'll be given a choice as to what shifts are open. So if there's a collection of shifts that are open and not hard bid on, and there's people that aren't placed on them, then you guys can choose from what those are. I know it's not something you want to hear. It's
That happened with 182. They were displaced, so they got pick of where they wanted to go for their tent place, I guess you can say, until bids came out.
Displacement bid. Okay, so it's an actual bid, Kenny?
I don't think it's an actual bid. I think they're just displaced. But they get to choose where they go from the available open shifts. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was under the impression. Kenny is saying that the last one was a displacement bid. So I'll follow up with that as well. It also probably depends on how many people are getting displaced, right? And unfortunately, some of the people that have been out there have been with the company for almost since the origination of it. So again, I feel for you guys. It is a sinking ship out there. Goodyear is getting their own rescues. From my understanding, that is non-negotiable. There is no additional contract with Maricopa. We're just filling out the remainder of what's required as they're getting their rescues.
Well, because we've been told just from down the line, and I don't know how true it is or validating it is, but we've been told that Maricopa is trying to get another contract with Goodyear.
Who told you that, and how long ago was it?
It was like 3 or 4 months ago, and I don't remember who told me that.
Yeah, 3 or 4 months ago is very different from now.
Okay.
From my understanding, there's not going to be another Maricopa Goodyear contract. Now, could something happen with their rescues coming up? Sure, definitely. They had problems launching the beginning of their rescues, right? They had some electrical fire issues. So, from my understanding, that's not a thing. But as we know in this industry, things can definitely change overnight. But from what it looks like, within 3 years, there will not be any more Goodyear Maricopa units. And we are technically mutual aid, is what I was told by Lindsay. Now, the reason that, and this is the reason why a lot of people are confused on why you get hammered so bad on posting, is because the company is trying to compensate for the requirements of response times. So from my understanding, we're only as good as our worst, right? So if you have one city that has stellar response times, and then you got another city that has trash response times, there's an average that's kicked out that ultimately affects the CON. So that's why, even though we're considered mutual aid, those trucks are still dedicated out there to respond to not be consistently not meeting those response times. And hey, this is all recorded. If I spoke out of place, I'll be corrected. Again, this is an open place to vent, talk. I may not have the answers on a lot of this stuff, but I want to be open and communicate with you guys and figure out this stuff with you. You guys are, the power lies in your hands, right? Like, and unfortunately, we're also the bottom of the totem pole, right? Like we're the mass majority of the company or crews, but also we're the bottom level of responsibility, if you will, and accountability in the company in regards to management. So with that being said, we all need to get along. We all need to come together, communicate. And again, I do want to repeat, let's try to keep the gossip not only to a minimum in general about people's personal choices, which some people have made some bad choices about certain things. But definitely let's not gossip about Maricopa or the fire department or other employees in the EMS break rooms or anywhere around where listening ears could be. And again, I'm guilty being part of conversations, but I've had some self-reflection, and I'm trying to be more responsible and try to guide those conversations at a bare minimum to be held in a different space, because we're walking advertisements, guys. Like, we have the name on our shirt, and if we want to make this a better place to work, we've got to have that morality and ethics and be what we expect.
Noel, you're cutting in and out.
Am I here?
Yeah, but you're cutting in and out.
All right. Cool. Thanks for letting me know, Bree. Is there any other questions, thoughts, concerns, anything anybody didn't think of? Cool beans. So yeah, I am going to be posting about the sticker and a Daisy-like program. Still determining on what that's going to be. I originally wanted to do 2 employees a month, either 1 or 2 employees a month, and it would be like the hospital where crew members, whoever, can send in an email. Kenny's going to help me quarterback this. So as I'll post this, you'll see the information on who to contact. So basically, if your partner did something that was super cool and helpful, went out of their way, something for a kudo report, and you'll send it in. And then at the end of the month, we'll choose 1 or 2 people, and those people will get a prize. I originally wanted to do like gift cards or cash, but from my understanding with Casey, I'm trying to actually find out if there's a way around this to figure out something that would work. There are some government regulations as to how I spend some of this union money that I was trying to attempt to spend it on this way. So that's something I'm working on, but I will be launching it. And I'll also be asking recommendations if anybody has better ideas. I'm thinking Prickly Pear Award might be a fun one. And then also the sticker collection. So Kenny will also be the forefront with me on that and sending ideas on fun stickers. Hey, that is you, Kenny. All right, y'all. Hey, thanks for being here. Please spread the word. I will attempt to post this weekend, this one and the previous one, so people that weren't able to attend can hear the recordings. And I'm sure I'll get told I said something wrong. But hey, we work to be better. Can we get some Velcro union badges? Yeah, I have a Velcro union badge you can have. I gave them away with the backpacks, but there was kind of a limited amount on some of the trustees that had them, but I can get you one, Tara. Anywho, thank you for your service if nobody told you that today. And see you soon. Au revoir.